we're going to keep it going, just talk a little bit about what's happening in the world of crypto and NFTs. So if anybody wants to come up and join the conversation, feel free to hit request. And again, if you guys need to drop off, feel free to drop off. I know everybody's busy, but I appreciate everybody coming by. But yeah, let's maybe Dow and Tammy. Dow, I know you're deep into DeFi. What do you think about the conversation we just had?
I think that was great. I think we should have them like on a regular basis. I'm being biased, obviously. There's a lot more to cover than DeFi and crypto, but I think it's one sector that's maturing really fast, just in terms of like the sophisticated things that people are building. So, and it's exciting because it at least if you hear from Swivel, they're building on top of existing protocols that are mature. Aave, for example, or Compound, or other protocols like that. Like they've been tried and tested. They've gone through, people trying to hack them, market being, going down in a hurry, and it's still here. And they actually show that in a lot of cases, DeFi is more resilient than traditional finance. So I'm just excited to hear from builders that work in the space.
Yeah, I agree with you, Dal. It's very interesting to me, especially coming from traditional finance. And I just recommend, I went ahead last night and looked at the light paper that Swivel has on their site. And it's really very in-depth, informative in the way that they kind of walk you through it step by step. It's really helpful. So for anybody that's really truly wanting to learn about it, they give pictures and it's really, really informative. So check it out.
Yeah, thanks for the shout out. And I guess kind of doing a quick segue to the NFT stuff and also showing us a final last time, right? Wartooth was super clever. She spent a lot of effort on what we're working on for the ambassador program through Crew 3. And specifically, we'll be giving out NFTs that are backed by positions on Swivel, right? And specifically then backed by long ETH positions, right? And this is really interesting, right? I don't know how much you guys have looked at NFT finance or really where that's going, but I don't know. Any interesting projects over there? Have you guys actually been taking loans on your NFTs? Anything in recently? And just general, I suppose.
I've learned about NFTs and finance from Dow. Dow, you had a space on it. Was it financial NFTs? Yeah, right?
Yeah, in a way, right? On both sides, because there are ways that you can bring financial documents and represent them as NFTs. It could be just like a title, right? Like for a house or for land. It could be just a ticket, right? Ticket event. But tomorrow it'll be like a intellectual property. It'll be like a bill of lading, right? So on one side you'll see like real world asset being tokenized in terms of NFTs. And then also in the NFT ecosystem, if you have like a Bored Ape or a Zuki and you're sitting on it and it has this nice value, you can't really leverage that until recently when you have like NFTFi and other projects that allow you to get a loan against it. Now, for now, as far as I can tell, right, the loans are a bit high in terms of interest, but it's still better than nothing. Like instead of just waiting and sitting on your asset that's high value, you can actually use some capital that use it as a collateral. So there's more and more of those platforms. There's JPEGs. There's a few others. I can't remember, like this NFTFi. So there's a few places that are now allowing you to get a loan against your NFT if it's a blue chip, right? If it's a regular NFT, not just yet, but it's starting to become more and more accessible. And now in the case of JPEG, I think they can actually give you a loan not based on the floor price, but based on how rare your NFT is, right? So based on the rarity of different features of your token, you may actually get a higher loan. So that's pretty cool, and that's becoming more and more adopted by NFT community.
Yeah, I took a loan out. I previously owned a Fidenza that was in my background. I took a loan out ages ago, and they had decent liquidity at the time. I don't really know what happened to that, but I got like 8%. I believe now people are really looking for more like 30 to 40% APY. But like you said, it's high, so that really just means on the other side, there's a lot of opportunities for people to come in and just get pretty good rates. Like if you're a Fidenza fan and you've got some ETH sitting around, I'm sure there's some market out there where you can lend at, like 10 to 30% at least within that range. And worst case scenario, you end up with some guy's Fidenza. I think that's the deal, right? So it's not the worst deal, I suppose.
Not at all. Not at all.
Good morning, Jess. Thanks for bringing me up. Do you mind if I chime in really quick on?
Yeah, of course. Good morning, Active.
Thank you. I'm glad I made it today. But I don't know if I know, Jess, you're familiar with Solana. I don't know if other people in the room are, but NFT DeFi is really popping off on Solana right now. With the lending and borrowing, Sharky.fi is the main one. They were first. They've done huge volume, which I don't have in front of me right now, but I'm talking about huge volume. Another project that's coming up is Moon Holdings. The founder is Solana Monkey Business. He's a member of Solana Monkey Business. Been in the ecosystem for a while, so it's booming on Solana with this borrowing and lending, and I've done it for months now, and it's really helped me in terms of just not like I'll take out a 10 sol loan on one of my NFTs to mint something. It is risky, but at the same time, like, it's better than buying more Solana, right? So the interest rates are pretty reasonable. I took out a loan on some land from Honeyland. It was 9.6 sol that I borrowed, and repayment is 9.83. So it's really not 0.23 interest. I mean, we're talking about much lower numbers on Solana in terms of just the amounts of money. It's not thousands and thousands of dollars, but I know that there are people. You can also lend your Solana, right? So whales are just parking their Solana in these protocols and making a killing.
Yeah, you got to make money while you sleep, right? So definitely interesting to see. And I think as the time goes by, like, the tools are going to be made easier, that maybe people that don't have such a deep understanding of the finances can have a grasp on it. And that's something that I saw when I was looking around. So it will definitely user friendly. But yeah, other things happening. Is it? I guess maybe I'm gonna throw this to Dow. Dow, is it ZK season, or Dow or Daniel? Because it looks like Matic announced their ZK EVM date. I saw zkSync announce something, and then I saw Binance also, BNB chain, announced that they're pushing through for their ZK EVM. So is it ZK EVM season? And maybe you just want to give everybody a breakdown of what ZK EVM even means for those that might not know.
Divide that and go for it.
Daniel.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Hey, Tammy, Dow, Jazz, how's it going?
Going
Good morning,
good.
Daniel.
Yeah, I was just taking some notes the other day on Dow's Spaces about the NFTs financial. Yeah, I'm thinking about putting my whole collection out for a loan.
Your crypto dick butt?
Yeah, I'm trying to get about $40. That's what I put in my evaluation. My entire collection is about $40, so it's gonna be up there.
Is that to go to Chipotle, Daniel?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna get some frozen noodles.
You think not
So
even
it can help
cooked,
you
huh? Not even cooked, frozen.
No, frozen noodles. You can get, they're like 10 cents if you know where to buy them. So you can get like a lot of noodles for $4. So yeah, my entire collection is probably evaluation is about $40, give or take 20. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. So yeah, where you guys been, man? It's like it's been L222 since 2022. Are you guys talking about ZKs just now? It's like you guys are missing a train.
All right, so Daniel's not going to explain it, so let's go to Dow.
Yeah, keep eating your noodles for now, and we'll give a background for the rest of the room over here. But yeah, so obviously most people know Ethereum doesn't scare, right? Like things are getting expensive if too many people use the blockchain. So there was a prior solution, the plasma chains, but it kind of died down. They were not like the best design scaling solution. And so the rollups now are like the big talk, right? For the past year and a half, it's kind of been the scaling solution on top of Ethereum, right? So for now, the adoption is on optimistic rollups that are leveraging the security of Ethereum, but they're making some assumption. That's why we call them optimistic, right? So you have Arbitrum, you have Optimism, and they're working fine, right? There hasn't been any hacked or anything like that. But in terms of cryptography, security, and how advanced they are, there's another type of rollups based on zero knowledge proofs that we colloquially call like ZKR or ZK rollups, and those are harder to build, but most people would agree that they're 10x or 10x's over the existing rollups, right? So the main ones are, oh, I see In Motion, so I'm going to make sure to
You
mention
gotta
this
mention
Loop
the
Ring.
three.
There's Loop Ring, right? I got it right this time. There's Loop Ring, there's zkSync, there's Starkware, and there's Polygon, and there's a few others, right? And most of them have massive finance behind them. It's not just small pet project that, oh, it's a cool technology. No, it's like hundreds of millions of dollars that they're backed by, and it for a lot of people, they're the final solution for scaling for Ethereum, right? They just in terms of security, they're 10x on optimistic rollups. They kind of verify the transaction before they pass them down to the mainnet. There's also the ability to maintain your data private, right? And there's also like all kinds of benefits, right? Like the transaction can be on optimistic rollup right now. There's like tens of cents or 2-3 seconds to settle. On ZKs, they could probably be instantaneous and be sub pennies, right, in terms of cost. So, with the reason people are talking about them right now is because Polygon has just mentioned or announced that their ZK EVM, which is like a ZK friendly version of the EVM, the Ethereum Virtual Machine, is going to be ready sometime in March. So, and I think that's the main net ready, not just like test net. So that's massive because they're competing between each other, right? Like zkSync is also coming out and saying, well, we're ready too. And Starkware have their StarkNet, I think 2.0 that's almost ready as well. So the competition is heating up, and the thing to remember is that ZKs are seen by a lot of people as the final solution because it's not just a 10x. The multiple 10x's in ZKs, the 10x's in terms of performance, there's 10x's in terms of finally having secure account where people don't know what's in your wallet. There's also 10x's in terms of user experience. Like the wallet experience can be improved insanely using those technologies. So the use cases can be from in-game assets on Immutable X. They're going to be really easy to trade and onboarding the gamers to DID, decentralized IDs that finally make sense or easy to implement, to just cheaper, faster transaction where you don't even know that they're happening because it's so fast and so cheap. So it's just a massive story that's not just going to be a narrative. I think it's going to be here to stay. So hopefully that pans out in terms of timelines. Like hopefully like Polygon does deliver on the promise and it does work. But yeah, it's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and just to kind of summarize what Dal said, for a user's perspective, what does this mean? Faster, cheaper transactions that are eventually settled on the Ethereum layer. Daniel, what's up?
Yeah, this is not about ramen anymore, but yeah. So yeah, I guess that the biggest news ZK rollups have been here for many years, right? And now like the past couple years, they've been really like pushing the barriers of what they can do, can't do. So the big news is not so much ZK rollups. It's ZK EVM compatible, right? So the way they've been doing it before is ZKs are very complex and the EVM is very complex and smart contracts are very complex. So in order for them to function in a ZK rollup environment, these teams, coders, they had to create their own kind of middleman to translate what was happening in the VM and kind of like make it work in their ZK environment, then do your thing in the ZK environment and then translate it back to the EVM. So the EVM compatibility is huge because it removes that attack vector that you have right in the middle. So that call a middleman or whatever, So you don't have that. It is true input output from from the Ethereum L1 to a ZK. So that is the huge, that is a huge thing. And it's gonna take. I mean, it had already taken forever for them to figure that out. And I'm assuming not everything is gonna be working in zk EVM compatible chains just yet. But I don't know much about that. I'm assuming it's so complicated. But maybe it's a 1-to-1 now that they come up with the EVM compatibility. I don't know how that works, DAO or InMotion. Is it 100%?
So the important part about zk compatibility is that the zk EVM it's promoting more. So we're going to start looking at layer 3s, which are going to be the rollup layers, and layer 2s are going to be the EVMs. So you're going to start transitioning into kind of like an area where you're separating. You're kind of getting into like the basics of OOP programming, where you're separating the area of concern from into specific things, right? So modularity is king when you're making these gigantic systems like this, right, Dow?
Yeah, I think. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, just going to say, yeah, I agree with that.
No, to Daniel's point, yeah, I think that's a huge point. Because before, in my understanding, developers would need to rebuild the application on the ZK network, and now it's just a matter of one-click deploy. It's EVM compatible, just like if they were going to another EVM compatible chain, right?
Right, and like with these multiple layers and kind of like the progress and how they're building these EVMs, you're going to possibly be able to bridge all of these separate EVM chains together because they're all technically running on Ethereum. So the Loopring is in their kind of sister company that's doing their EVM implementation. It's called Tycho, and Tycho is working on cross-layer bridges also through their EVM.
Yeah, that's it's huge. It's huge to see, we see so many narratives play out in crypto, and now everybody's like, okay, who's going to be first to roll out ZK every EVM? Everybody's doing it now. Matic was the first one announcing it. But speaking of Matic, I did read some FUD about Matic. Apparently, there was an MLM Ponzi scheme, and now that wallet.
No.
Wait, let me finish, Leo. And now that wallet is the fifth largest Matic holder. Anybody hear about that?
No,
I have
always.
not. No.
It's just because they're going to Polygon. If Solana, I went to Solana. It's all because of me. I don't know. I'm not even going to buy a BNB and NFT because then it's going to go there. Something's going to happen.
So be on the lookout for that. Apparently, they were running some type of MLM Ponzi, and they accumulated all this Matic. So hopefully they don't dump the Matic. But I put up the information on the top. Definitely don't get into that project, whatever it is. And yeah, that should be interesting to see that play out.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, I misunderstood you. Damn.
What did you think I said? Sorry.
I thought you said the whole Matic network. Damn, they have teeth.
No. There was somebody was running a protocol that was a Ponzi, and they were able to accumulate all this Matic, and now they're the fifth largest Matic holder. So it's not that Matic is a Ponzi. I'm sorry if I said that incorrectly. But yeah, what else is going on? Welcome, Leo.
Sorry, I'm behind on everything. I got 2-3 hours of sleep last night. Trying to keep up with a lot of coffee, and it's not working.
No worries. We'll give you a minute to catch up. Aside from that, obviously, there's been a lot of news this week about regulations. I'll just go through them really quick. SEC announces they're going after Do Kwon, Lunaterra. Kraken was forced to pay $30 million. Binance is expected to settle with the U.S. regulators following investigations, and BUSD is no longer printing. So just another, normal week in crypto, to say the least.
And
What's up?
Sam, oh, I was just going to say, Jess, and Sam might not be able to play video games any longer. Just throwing that out there.
Finally. Yeah, I heard that his excuse, and by Sam, in case anybody's wondering, we're talking about SBF, that the reason he needed a VPN is because he wanted to watch the Super Bowl or some shit like that, and he had NFL International, and that's why he needed to VPN. It's like, come on, like, you don't know.
Right. And reading about him too, there's that one girl, I think her name's Tiffany. I could be wrong on that. The girl that interviewed him claimed that he told her he didn't even have TVs. And I know his parents, they've said that they don't have TVs in the house, which is a little sus to me. But apparently you don't have TVs yet. You want to watch a Super Bowl. I don't know. Seems a little sus to me.
And they also, speaking of SBF, they also released the name of the two people that helped bail him out, and it was two people from Stanford. Like one of them used to be like the dean or something like that. So I don't know. I had guessed Tom Brady and Kevin O'Leary, but I lost that bet. What's
Yeah,
up,
I was
Brooke?
way off.
Good morning, Brooke.
Hi. I can't even believe that people think that that's he got caught using a VPN, yet tried to use the VPN to not get caught. Like the irony of it is hysterical to me. But yeah, just woke up, got some coffee. I realize it's late in the day, but I stay up too late.
Speaking, well, we're always glad to have you. I know you're a couple hours behind, so we accept your apology for being late because
How
you're.
you?
But I did. Speaking of VPN, I use a VPN, and I was having issues on Twitter, and I came across a Proton VPN. Has anybody tried that? Any FUD around that, or is it safe for me to use that one? I guess I
Here's
should
my
have probably
question
asked
though,
that.
what do you want to use the VPN for? Because really they're not, unless people are doing criminal activities, they really
I'm
don't
not
do
doing criminal
anything. Right.
activity.
I know you're not. They're really not meant, they don't really do much. I use one at the router level because of work that I do, but I'm just I'm honest to God curious, what do you use it for? What do people use it
This
for?
space is recorded, but I'm not doing illegal
Yeah,
activity.
that's what I'm not. That's what I'm not saying anything.
But sometimes, you're not able to get into certain websites or things like that, crypto related, just crypto stuff.
Not for claiming
It's not
tokens,
illegal
not
to
at all
use
for
an
that.
VPN.
Are you trying to claim your Blur tokens, Jess? Please tell us.
That was that. I was asking for a friend, actually. That
Sure.
let's rewind that. Yeah, what are your thoughts, Brooke? Is it even worth the time?
I don't know what is going on with my Twitter space, but I only heard, what do you think, Brooke? So I don't know. In the tech world, even, I don't know, even the VPN company knows your location. So it's the only reason why to use it, and again, it's not illegal to use a VPN. So, and it's not illegal to use it for certain things. There's no precedence. There's no legal precedence to be oh, they're using a VPN to access this website. The laws are 20 years behind that. So there's really no worrying about, oh, I'm doing this to mask something that maybe is shady. There's just no legal precedence there. I'm not a lawyer, but I use this technology and have for 20 years. So I just don't know. There's different types. You're still beholden to the VPN and to the ISP that you're using. I have multiple different layers. So that's another thing to think about, is that you've got the VPN layer at like the router level, and then you've got one on your device level, and then you can even have like an inside the computer, like the files are in the computer. So there's different like levels that you can have to get past things. But I'm running into the problem now that I'm building this Bitcoin node, that I can't open certain ports because of the VPN. So it's like you're always going to run into like different issues. So it just depends on what you need it for, but you're still going to be able to be tracked. And
We're all bound by the
blur
TCP
tracking
stack.
thing too is crazy.
Yeah, we'll talk about, somebody brought up Blur. We'll talk about Blur in a minute, but let's go to Lego, who has their hand up. What's up, Lego?
Hey, how you doing? I just wanted to talk to you about Proton. I actually use Proton Mail for my business and personal. If you're not using it, maybe you should. It's end-to-end encrypted, so there's no real. It's really secure. I mean, as far as especially if you're sending from Proton Mail to Proton Mail account, then there's no middleman that can read it, like Gmail or Google can't go through it. And it's Swiss based. Check them out. And I use their VPN as well. I use it for pretty much everything. I use it on my iPhone. I use it on my PC. Sometimes it does make things work. Like sometimes you can't go to certain websites with the VPN on. You got to turn it off. Sometimes on my iPhone, it just shuts down my browser and everything, and I got to disconnect and reconnect. So it can be a hassle, but it is basically just an extra layer of security to where the signal, like all the transmission, it's getting encrypted on your device. And then, yeah, of course, you have to trust the VPN company. But Proton Mail does have a very good reputation. So, yeah, that's all.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I actually do have a Proton account. I just got to get myself more used to using it. I think we're also like used to using Gmail and shit like that, but we should be using the decentralized solutions like Proton, or using, Brave browser. But yeah, that's how I found the Proton VPN, which is free. Again, I'm not sponsored by any of these products. These are both free and open source, is what I read about the VPN, I believe. So yeah, definitely. I think we all say we want and I'm going to say this as myself, like we all say we want decentralization, and we want to be in Web3, and I can't even make the transition from email, like, cause I'm so used to using Gmail and things like that, and Google Chrome,
Yeah.
Jess, you got to use shark lasers.
Proton also has. I was just say, like, I just want to throw in there real quick too. Proton also has a calendar and a online storage and everything. So they basically offer everything Google does. And I do have, for my business, I do have the enterprise, and it's pretty reasonable as well.
Yeah, it starts with us. It starts with me. I got to start making that change. So I'm going to be emailing you guys from the Proton Me email account. Go ahead. I think Daniel has had his hand up for a while, and then In Motion and Active.
Yeah. So VPN does put you kind of like, a target, right? Like why you're doing that. But it really is no different than, the freedom to choose how you route your information. But as far as decentralized solutions, a while back, I wanted to watch I think it was a fight on, I don't know, one of those pay-per-view channels that it was free in Mexico, I believe. So I used, have you guys heard of this platform called Orchid? Or Orchid, I guess, like the plant. I don't know how to say it. The
I
Spanish
have
in me.
not, no.
Okay, Orchid or Orchid, I guess, whatever the flower name. They offer VPN for, like basically you run the network run nodes, and they serve as your VPN provider. So you on your phone, basically download this application, and then you connect to their VPN. It's a VPN provider through a tokenized type of platform, right? And it works pretty well. I was able to like basically connect the VPN. Then I can't remember what I did, but I went into my Brave browser and changed my location to Mexico, and I was able to access this website. You know how sometimes like it says in YouTube or whatever live, it says like this is not available in your area. So I was able to access that video, and I just basically mirrored into the TV, and we were all like watching this, this fight for free. It was paid. It was paid wall in the U.S., but everybody in the world was watching it for free. So we're like, fuck it, and it's really cheap. Orchid, whatever. It's really cheap. You need some X dye or some dye that you drop in it, and just with like $5, you can just go on forever. So, anyways, check it out. Yeah, that's the decentralized solution that I know.
Thanks, Daniel. I think we lost In Motion, so go ahead, Active.
I just wanted to let you guys know about the decentralized VPN that I use, which actually requires some hardware, but it's Boring Protocol. It's a decentralized VPN network, and it's actually a node. I have 3 of them, for which you earn BOP, which is the Boring Protocol token. The devices are super small, and I do earn that BOP. So
See, now that's I like that. There's a reason for you, like
exactly.
to actually like utilize your data and your whatever you're using. I was trying to explain some stuff the other day to my son that like there's really no creating things out of thin air. You're exchanging or you're translating electricity into whatever the thing is that you're about to utilize. I don't know, I'm saying this in kind of a grand scheme of things, but that's what I like is, okay, these VPNs or these nodes, because what we used to mine helium with these routers that would mine this helium, and it's like all you're really doing is exchanging that electricity for the token. So I like that.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, like somebody had mentioned they use a VPN to just like watch, to catch up on the news from other countries. Like they want to see what other people are reporting. And I did bring Johnny up because he mentioned me, he DM'd me to abort this conversation as a soon-to-be lawyer. What are we doing wrong, Johnny?
I'm not giving any legal advice, and this is a recorded space, and you all are just like, how do I sneak around the internet? You crazy.
Can I just say really quick? I don't use it like I don't use it for illegal things. For me, it's more about.
Let's get back in there. Johnny said to bypass.
I use it on principle.
Is what he sent me. Abort.
Yeah,
but
you can check out my website, humantrafficking.com. That's what I
primarily.
Wait,
what?
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Oh, that's not funny.
Oh my God.
We haven't even passed 12 o'clock yet. Come on, guys. But yeah, so another reason why I guess VPN is a thing is unless you've been hiding under a rock, obviously the Blur drop was this week and it was restricted for U.S. residents. So I'm assuming since most of you guys are U.S. Residents, you did not claim. Actually, no, Dow's not, and neither is Daniel. Daniel, did you? Oh no, Leo's a degen. Leo, did you get Blur to claim?
Leo, don't answer that.
I was just gonna say.
Oh yeah,
Leo's not coming off mute.
Okay, I'm so confused, Johnny. Like, are you saying that because this is recorded and people are talking about like maybe hypotheticals or non-hypotheticals, like what could that? I'm dead ass asking you. Like, could that just be used? Like somebody goes.
Listen, at the end of the day, unless there's like a Fed camping out in here looking to hunt people down, but as a best practice,
yeah,
obviously it's probably honestly harmless in this conversation, right? Probably. But as a best practice, like, I don't know, like the whole reason we all get to the decentralized world, some of us, is to keep our own shit to our own shit. And then you're going to keep your own shit to your own shit and then just tell everyone about it. That kind of defeats the purpose. But, you guys do what you want to do.
No, I appreciate that. I'm honestly asking, because there's a lot of us, well, not very many of us in this space that are completely doxxed, like, so my stuff's already everywhere. And I think there's just like different perspectives. I don't know, just honest to God curious is if you're talking about something like a piece of software, like a virtual private network that people use for whatever reason, it's not illegal to use a VPN, and then talking about like certain things that it would be used for. I just like where's the like cutoff, like at what point do you say like, no, I used it for this or I used it for that, and then you could get like, in trouble for that or whatever. I don't know what I'm asking, but
Well,
yeah,
think about like, all right, there was a period when like peer-to-peer music sharing was like so popular and people were pretty open about it, but it was also just egregiously illegal. But everyone was just kind of open about it. Like in the same respect, like a lot of what we're talking about, depending on what country you're in, is highly, because we're so steeped in it, it's normalized. But like to the outsiders, like if some normie just joined the space, like what are these people doing? They're trading securities internationally and using VPNs. Like it is kind of like we get used to it, but it is kind of out there. And you just maybe want to keep it a little closer to the chest. That's all.
All right. Well, we will not take that as legal advice. But
I'd like to say, just like full disclosure, I am not a toy, and I am also not made out of clay. But I did live in China for a long time, and back like early on in the 90s and late or early 2000s, and we all know China has like a big piracy problem, IP problems. And at the time, I didn't know any better. And I used to sell the DVDs that I bought over there on eBay, and I used to bring them through customs. And it was like after 9/11, and these customs officials would be like, "Oh my God, you got like, all 15 seasons of The Simpsons, like this, that, the other, going through my bags." And I think it's really just a matter of, how big of a fish are you? And if you're doing something that bad, where you have to like hide from federal authorities and whatnot, like you're not going to get busted by like some anecdotal comments on a Twitter space.
I'm just gonna say it. I lost all my crypto in the boat accident, but if I was to claim my Blur airdrop, I live in Colombia, so if I did, if I'd lost my tokens, I would have claimed like 41 Blur. So nothing to brag about.
I don't even know how to track. I don't think I got any Blur. I don't really trade NFTs a lot. I just buy and hold them to zero. So not a lot.
I think you needed to trade certain NFTs on their platform, not just any NFTs. Like if you connect your wallet, you're gonna see that most of our NFTs are shit. So they won't even like be part of the selecting, like they only allow certain NFTs to be traded. That's my experience so far. So if you connect your wallet, out of 100, you might see 2 or 3 that you can actually trade in their platform. So that's why people like them. Brian is saying no, but yeah, he doesn't know shit about
no,
shit.
not because of that. I can't talk right now. I just wanted to come up on stage to say Lego isn't Fed, so go fuck yourself, Fed.
I'd be surprised for a thumbs up
Lego.
from Brian on anything, to be honest.
Yeah, I totally work for like 6 different 3-letter agencies.
100%.
I do have some legal advice, and that is if you ever get wrapped up, whatever the punishment is not going to be as bad as them exposing your wallets to the world and all your shit NFTs. So
Johnny, you sound like a Fed too. How many feds are on this stage right now? Just like raise your hand, please, if you work for a 3-letter agency. Death, you got your hand raised?
Brian, raise your hand.
That's not even fair, Brian.
No fucking kidding, Brian or Brain. No kidding. When I first I was listening to Jess on what the hell was it, Clubhouse, I really thought she was a Fed. Like 100%, hands down.
Yeah, a Fed buying stick figure NFTs and a bunch of derivatives. Yeah.
This was Clubhouse, Jess. Like Clubhouse. Like
I'll take that as a compliment.
He's a reformed scammer? Are you serious?
Yeah,
I don't know, dude. You might be onto something. Like she's a girl on the internet hosting this really popular like talk show, having people be like, "Oh yeah, I'm using VPNs and I'm bypassing like customs and sanctions by buying this magic internet beans or whatever." I don't know, man. It sounds kind of plausible.
Now it sounds like she's very smart, but she was asking like for like someone that I don't know anything about anything. Like she was asking like the real questions. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I better, yeah. You guys know the story about the guy trying to get the Silk Road dude?
I don't, but let's move on from any illegal activity talk. I would like to continue hosting the show on an ongoing basis. And, I've been advised by a non-lawyer to abort this conversation. So, Death, I'll let you chime in, but we do want to move it along.
Oh, I just wanted to say VPNs are primarily security based for yourself, right? You want privacy to what you're doing on the internet. In any regards, if you think Proton or any sort of encryption or VPN, VPS, even a combination of multiple VPSs all over the world will protect you, if you're doing something illegal, they know. I'm sure of this.
All right. So we're going to move on from VPN since we do have Brian up here, who is one of the most popular NFT influencers nowadays. Welcome, Brian. What is going on with Bitcoin Ordinals? It looks like you guys crossed over 100,000. Anything new or in that's going on over there?
Wait.
Basically, I'm working on Ordinals 2.0. They're called Slanidros. You just take the number and you count it backwards. And if you get in early, you can be Slanidro number 1. So don't miss out. Just send your money to me. My wallet address is posted on my profile.
Can you send me the link?
I'll send you a link as soon as the website's live.
You could sell a NFT of a dirty shoe to Leo and he would buy it. Just tell him it's the next big thing.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, it's like over what did it hit? 130,000 or something fucking crazy like that last night. I mean, it's kind of like an arbitrary number, right? It doesn't really matter. And I kind of don't know. Maybe somebody can answer this for me because I don't know this yet. I'm looking into it. Is the ordinal number only on the ordinal website, or is this actually built into the protocol? Like, if other people come and create wallets for it, will they also see, like, you know what I mean? Like, will they see also, like, this is ordinal number 100,000, whatever, or will it just show like this is an ordinal? I don't know the answer to that question.
I believe that it does show the number from the indexing that I've been doing, but it's also very, very unclear as to like how you can display that in your on your side of things. But I do think that the number is displayed. Yeah. So
it's built into the protocol. So like all these people that are hyped and are like building new wallets will also see like this is ordinal number 1,000 whatever.
Yeah, I believe so from what I'm looking at.
I agree with Brooke. The guys from Stacks, they were showcasing Xverse, just a wallet they have, and I believe they explain it. They explain it in that way that it does work like that, basically. So check out Xverse. I know you won't, but of course.
Actually, that's not true, Daniel.
Brian, isn't Xverse and all of these different tools, like, they're technically using AWS, right? Like, again, why are we talking about different, like, okay, I'm not going to dog on Stacks or anything like that. What I am saying is when we, maybe,
Stacks is a shit coin.
Well, it's also like this, how do I say, like, Trevor is an investor.
Scammer.
And all of these, I didn't say it.
No, don't say that about Trevor.
I said it.
Stop
what
it.
I'm saying is that
He's
they
not
are
even to defend himself. Sorry, Brooke. Go ahead.
No. But I didn't say it. Brian said it.
I said it.
I'm talking to him. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So when all of this stuff comes up, I'm saying all of this stuff like a new thing, right? A new shiny object that we're all like, ooh, what is this? The investors in technology, which I am one. So I'm saying this as a person who's like, how can I capitalize on this? Because I'm a business person and a technologist. And so I'm looking at my node right here on the floor going, okay, I could probably, offer inscription, to inscribe people's art and projects, because this is a standalone, this is my own server kind of thing. I have all of my own decentralized stuff here, but all of these different new wallets and all of this stuff that's coming up that is being funded by VC companies that like Stacks are capitalizing on the technology, but they can come to market, get to market quickly because they're using a centralized data service like AWS. Whereas, indexing ORD right now on this machine takes a really long time. There's a lot of effort. You can't inscribe an entire block like the DeGods did unless you're using like Luxor mining. Like, you got to pay this huge fee to be able to do that. So my point is, like, there's a lot of things under the hood here that are extremely centralized, that are really being pushed by a central like voice. So just again, there's a lot of this stuff that's just super duper technical, and like everybody's kind of getting distracted by the shiny objects. But all of these different tools that are coming out so quickly are doing that because they're running off of a server, just like everything else that we talk about.
So, Brooke, as far as I know, Xverse, it does do that. Like, if this Ordinals thing works the way I think it works, I haven't looked at the code or whatever, but I imagine that it's now connecting to two different servers. And one of those servers has to be the Bitcoin network because the Ordinals are on the Bitcoin network. You know
Correct.
what I mean?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so
but like not the protocol. Oh, I'm not awake yet. The like way that things are done, right? Like the mechanism by which you can like view this stuff. I guess they're calling it are they calling it a marketplace? I don't even know. For you to be able to go and view these things, and where it indexes, because you can't really index an entire project unless you have mined the entire block, which is almost impossible unless you're using, Luxor. So to use that software is all being run off of AWS, not obviously the inscriptions are on the Bitcoin Core, but the mechanism by which that they're being viewed and like the software is so Web 2, it makes me like my eyes bleed.
Well, they probably have an instance of Bitcoin Core running on AWS or DigitalOcean because it's just easier to spin it up like that way. So I wouldn't be surprised. But I mean, you can run one at home.
It's not that hard. Like, I have fiber optic, internet speed. So it took me maybe 12 hours to download the core. And so it's honestly not that difficult for a technologist to like run it, but it's a lot more time consuming to run it decentrally. That's not a word, but I always kind of use that word. Like, are we running things decentrally or not?
No.
But yeah, those nodes, the reason they're doing it on AWS is because it's faster. They don't have fiber optic internet, or they don't have the machine to do it, which you can still do it off like a tiny computer. You could do it off your laptop if you wanted. It's just going to be slower. So everybody's so fast. We got to get things done fast. I'd rather get it done right.
So what you're saying is essentially, even if you're going to all the lengths to make yourself decentralized, you are using with some of these, things that we're trying to do.
Are people talking? I can't hear anybody.
I'm talking.
I can't hear anybody. I'm going to jump down.
Yeah, everybody can hear you though, because when you come on, that megaphone is blazing.
I have to turn the volume down.
Go ahead, Active.
I literally just forgot what I was saying.
No, you were saying that things that we're all interacting with.
Oh, right. At the end of the day, even if you're using all these things, like somewhere in between, like with Ordinals or whatever it is, you're ending up on an AWS or one of these cloud servers.
That's correct.
Yeah.
IPFS, Arweave, it's all run off of all of this central stuff. That's the best way for me to explain it. Like, we all kind of sat back. Again, I bring this up a lot, but I've been in tech for a really long time, and there's just no difference unless you are completely in ownership of the data that's on your machine, or you have a dedicated server wherever, in your home, in your business, it's somebody else has that information. It's pointing to a centralized server. But I, again,
real quick, sorry to interrupt, but sorry to interrupt, but I think the issue is not that some of the nodes are using AWS. The point is that not all of them are running on AWS. So if AWS was to shut down tomorrow for whatever reason, you still will have the Lightning Network working,
yes.
Ethereum working. So I think there's a lot of, excuse my term, but FUD around the whole AWS thing. It's the easiest way to do it. But if you could run an IPFS node of DigitalOcean, you can run it off your machine. And I don't even know if there's a statistics of how many of those nodes are actually being run on AWS or Microsoft or IBM or whoever.
I don't know. I look at it sometimes too, like, aren't we just adding to the, like, we're paying for Amazon to make the money. Like, that didn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, Amazon's still the winner here. When I was under the impression from back in 2009, when we were all like, the people need to be the winners. That's where I've been in this whole sort of like mess of things over the last 10 years, is like, I want the people to own their shit. I want to teach people how to build their own computers and build their own like small networks and truly own their shit. So if we keep saying like, oh, the AWS thing or the cloud or whatever, they're holding the bags. Like, they're the ones making the money and owning all of the stuff. So yes, of course it's on the blockchain, and AWS could go down tomorrow. To me, that's not really the issue. It's not like, oh, all of a sudden, AWS could go down. It's sort of like saying the internet could go down, which is like highly, highly improbable. Even though there's definitely some cyber stuff going on that you really never know. But to me, it's not necessarily about like this idea of, your stuff could be gone because someone else owns it. It's about the idea that we keep, throwing out there that we own our stuff. We own our stuff. Technically, you don't.
Yeah, but to be fair, like, and I know there's some hands up, so I'll be fast, but AWS just works, right? Like, it's the cheapest way, the fastest way to set up a node. It'll take you like literally like a minute to set up a node. You don't even need a node. You can use like, not to get too technical, but like serviceless architecture like Lambda, and you'll never pay more than $2 to run an infrastructure that powers, tens of thousands of people using a server, in real time. So I think until we have, from a business point of view, better services, then the ideological point of saying people should own their stuff is granted because we're in crypto, but it's not gonna matter until there's a consequence. And for now, there's no consequence in running on AWS or having the payload of NFTs on AWS. When there's a consequence, when the regulators come at the AWS and knock on the doors and say, "Hey, we need to shut down this operation, that operation," I think that's where we'll see, because there are systems alternative to AWS already existing. It's just that no one takes care of it because it's too expensive, it's too complex. And AWS, if you're DevOps, it is the best in the world. Like, there's like 40 different services that you can do. They're ridiculously cheap. So it's hard to make the ideological argument to a DevOps when they shave off tens of thousands of hours by using AWS.
So now what you're saying is you're okay with just LARPing about decentralization instead of actual decentralization.
I'm not a
You're okay
religious
with just
zealot.
LARPing.
I'm saying I'm not a religious zealot. So
It's not religious.
Hold on. I'm just saying, until the argument decentralization is better from a marketing and business point of view, where it's actually safer, more resilient, and there's better benefits, then obviously people are going to do rational things, which is to go where the money is.
You have to stake all of their Ethereum with like the 3 validators.
All right, gentlemen, let's not go into the is ETH centralized or not, because we know where that leads us. Absolutely nowhere. But let's see. Daniel, what's up, Daniel? You had your hand up.
I'm eating right now. Can someone else go?
Sure. Go. What's up, Andreas? And we're definitely not going to go into, is BSV better than BTC?
Oh
LOL.
no, you
Good
said it.
morning, everybody. Trust you're doing well with your coffee. I'm actually sipping on some energy drink right now, but same, right? So I had a question actually for Brooke. You were bringing up an interesting point about like real trustless markets and stuff, and I was wondering if you have looked into the OrdSwap, which is like a trustless marketplace. And from what I understand, they were on a space the other day explaining how it works. They're actually first to market to use the partially signed Bitcoin transaction kit known as the PBST that was released by Casey and like the Ordinals team. And
No,
so
it wasn't.
essentially what it does is that you can set up a trustless market like OrdSwap did, where you post your order on the chain, but it doesn't cost you a transaction in BTC, and it doesn't cost you anything to post a sale or to cancel a sale. But then it's like an atomic swap. So then when somebody comes to buy it, then they complete the signature or something like that, and then boom, it goes like into your wallet. So I was wondering if you've seen like that architecture yet, because they're claiming that it's like a trustless
I
market.
did, and I think the answer, and I know all these guys want to jump on this, and I couldn't care less to be, the first to answer or the last to answer. So I'll just say this: like, I'm a disruptive technologist. I like seeing what people are building. I like to throw shit against the wall and see what sticks. So, I think that's probably a good way to go. But we're so and when I say we're early, I'm talking about the technology of it and the number theory. It looks like Casey's even coming out with, they just decided this, I guess, in a space 10 minutes ago, that he's going to unhide the early numbers. And I had to wrap my mind around what that even meant. So there's a lot of like changes, and this is so early. Yes, I think that's a really cool idea. However, maybe what I'm saying is that this is good for technology, like pushing all this forward. So yeah, I like what they were doing. But again, when you try to get to market too fast with technology, regardless of what mechanism you're using, things are going to break. So, and maybe that's people's wallets.
OrdSwap has
Hey.
a 3% fee, you guys. I don't know if anybody's experienced that, but
Yeah,
a 3%
thank
fee.
you for saying that.
Andreas, can
Andrea,
I ask you a question?
Oh, wait. Andreas, is this the same project you were trying to show me? Aren't you part of this team?
No,
That sounds hesitant. Give your disclaimers. There's a lawyer here.
Andreas, Jess is basically asking the question I wanted to ask you. Do you work for Jack? Because you're like always shilling Relay X. Now you're shilling OrdSwap. Do you work for Jack? Just be honest with me, man.
No, but I actually like what they're doing. Like, I like the idea of trustless markets. Like OpenSea, from what I understand, it's not trustless. Like
neither is OrdSwap.
No, it's very different. The signatures are actually in OpenSea's hands. So if they really wanted to, they could rug everybody. But
so could Jack.
A real trustless marketplace is something that's very exciting in whoever's building it on whatever chain. So
dude, it's closed source. They literally don't know what the code is doing. How can it be trustless when you don't know what the code is doing?
The only thing that's open is the front end.
I don't care about the chain though. Like Bitcoin transactions are just Bitcoin transactions. Like you don't know how they're being constructed. Like Jack could be lying for all we know about using PSBTs, which he probably is because they're hard to do.
No, that's not
true. All right, gentlemen. Let's go to Cantor. Thank you for sharing.
I don't like liars, Jess.
Yeah, for sure, Jess. Thanks for having me.
What's up, Cantor? Good morning.
Hey, I was going to cut the issues in the room right now with a little bit more coffee talk, if that's all right.
Sure, go ahead.
So I guess I'll do coffee talk and then we'll do a little macro talk. I am considering getting myself an espresso machine, and I am really, really, really into coffee. I've been drinking coffee for a very long time, but only recently have I become like a quote unquote coffee snob. I don't like the term snob, but I feel like, okay, connoisseur. Sure. How about that? And I just love espresso. And I don't know if anyone here has an espresso machine, but I've been suggested a Breville. Apparently they're like decent price for what they can do. Like, obviously, I'm not going to go out and buy like a Ferrari of espresso machines because I didn't realize they go up to like 10, 20 grand. It's insane. But like a Breville, a good one, you can get like $400-500 and it'll be good enough. I don't have to go to like a place or anything like that. And all that. I mean, I'm curious if any of you have an espresso machine.
I don't know if you're into pods. I had a Nespresso machine, and I don't have it anymore because it was a long, long time ago I got it. But I know that they have new models, Nespresso. You do have to deal with those fucking pods, though. And
Yeah, so that's the thing is I'm worried about like the plastics and all that kind of stuff, you know, and I kind of like the experience of grinding down the coffee and having that real experience. I know that sounds like super nerdy, but that's kind of what I'm looking for.
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Tammy.
Oh,
I can hear you.
awesome. Yeah, I keep rugging, so I just didn't know. But I wanted to tell you, Cantor, I do have an espresso machine and I absolutely love it. And I do have the grinder, so grind the beans. And mine actually doubles as a coffee maker and espresso machine. So look up the brand.
What brand is it? Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's DeLonghi.
Do you like it?
I love it. I've had this thing for years.
That's
so like, would you say like it's so you would say it's like a true espresso? It has the foam on top and everything.
It does. It does. I make espresso martinis with it. I mean, this thing is the bomb.
You have to get one that has a foamer. So you need to foam.
Aerator, I think it's called, right?
Oh, aerator.
Yeah, the thing where it shoots the steam. I've got that. Yeah, this one has all of it. So definitely check them out.
Hell yeah!
I'm
Thank you for that.
Person as well. I know somebody told me that Nespresso pods are not real espresso. I don't know. That's what I drink. So.
Hey, Jess, I'm going to drop down. Before I do, I just have a quick question for Dow. Dow, what's the lowest inscription number you got, bro?
Oh no, I'm not into the whole NFT and Bitcoin, man. Until they have a standard. Hey, listen, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited for all the excitement around it. But until there's a standard, I think it's a fad.
Okay, yet to be seen, I guess. All right, well, thanks for having me, everybody. Take care.
Thanks, Andreas. Go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys, for those who have espresso machines, and I do have a Breville, and yeah, it's an amazing machine. I love it. I mean, 30 cents, of course, Brian doesn't like it. 30 cent per cup. It's incredible, and it's great coffee. I'm sure he's got one of the 10,000, Italian made, but
no coffee made machine.
But here's
I'm trying to cut coffee out.
Doesn't it feel like after you taste, like you make your own espresso at home, every other coffee tastes like shit? Like it ruins the coffee experience.
So I understand what you're saying, DeFi, and excuse me for jumping in on this conversation, but I just wanted to say, do you live on the East Coast of the United States by chance, or no?
I am on the Southwest.
Okay, so look up a brand called La Colombe, or look up a brand named Stumptown. And those are two brands of coffee. If you ever get a chance to get coffee made by them directly, there's almost no one who can beat them, even if you have the best machine. Their machines, they start with their machines between 20 and 40,000 in the stores, and the coffee is handpicked. And it's unbelievable. I have tried so much coffee. There's only one other place in the world I've ever had coffee as good as La Colombe's coffee, and that's at the Peninsula Hotel in Hong Kong. And I'm not saying that to be braggadocious or anything like that. I'm just telling you, I agree with you.
You just were by using that word, by the way.
I'm just saying that I understand what you're saying, because when I go to La Colombe and then when I go to other places, the coffee tastes like shit compared to all the other places. Yes. So I understand what you're saying 100%.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that, Daniel. I agree as well. I've been part of that Starbucks Odyssey beta program, and I barely go to Starbucks anymore because to me, it's like it's not strong enough at this point. And by the way, I did put an article up. It looks like some of those Polygon Starbucks NFTs are trading for over $2,000. So shout out to everybody who got in early on that. I was slipping, did not take advantage of the beta. But yeah, I agree. It's hard for me to drink Starbucks after I drink, the strongest espresso from Nespresso. Yeah.
I got
Have you
I
tried
infiltrated, by the
Juan
way, Jeff.
Valdez? Oh, sorry. Have you tried Juan Valdez?
I have not. I need quick pods, pod and go.
I agree with you though, Jess, on the Starbucks deal, because when I go there now, I think that they pump it so full of that sugar shit, the syrups and all that other stuff that you just can't get past that. So it definitely does not taste. I lived off of the caramel macchiatos, the iced ones, loved them, but that shit is so sweet now. I can't even do it. I can't do it. So
I
I
know
make
Jonathan's
my shit
hands
at
up
home.
there, but I have something very important to mention because it completely relates to this. And I apologize, Jonathan. I will shut the fuck up for a good 5 minutes after this. Uh, but dead ass, this is very important information. So the reason Starbucks doesn't taste good to us anymore because we've experienced real coffee. My CMO of the firm that I work for, he actually met the CTO of Starbucks at an airport lounge and asked him the question, "Why does your coffee taste like burnt shit?" And he told them why it tastes like burnt shit. He said that they actually use the same model for McDonald's. They burn on purpose. They over roast all of their blends on purpose. So that way there's a consistency throughout the world that the taste of Starbucks coffee is always the same. And the way they do that is by over roasting every single bean, which ultimately gets rid of a lot of the actual caffeine and a lot of the natural notes of the coffee. But they do it as a way to keep everything consistent worldwide.
You know
This is
what?
like,
I'm
Wow.
I'm not gonna lie, Cantor. I really hate that you went before me because you already said what I was gonna say, but
No, if
I
for
didn't
everyone who's
I
listening,
didn't meet
Jonathan said it.
somebody.
Jonathan said it. I didn't say it. Jonathan said it.
is this like
I didn't.
Coffeegate? Is this like Coffeegate right
Uh,
now?
I'm
pretty much
absolutely
because
following Cantor right now. He's badass. Like
Let's let
the
Jonathan
crazy
go.
thing
Let's let Jonathan go.
the crazy thing is I work for a coffee company. The coffee company was named Dirty Water Coffee Company. So I learned a lot about coffee, like how to make it. I've had the coffee where it poops out of the cat, which is actually pretty good, but it's overly priced. But Starbucks burns their coffee is because based on grind, temping, and how long you actually brew it is actually what brings out all the flavors. Seeing the crema on top as well as the oils, you can see the oils on top. That makes a great cup of coffee. But as soon as I learned all those things and I walked into a Starbucks, you could smell the burnt stuff from outside of the door. I only go to local places to buy my coffee if I want it already pre-made because they actually take the time to do it correctly. But yes, Cantor, you are 100% correct. They do burn their stuff, and it is horrible because that is total shit. And it's not, it doesn't make you want to have it. You know what I mean? But no, I am proud to be a coffee snob. I will always be a coffee snob. And if I had a t-shirt with my pinky raised up on it with a little cup, I would have coffee snob on top of it, and I rock that shit. So thank you for having me.
Not to fall in, I love all that information, not to fall into the rabbit hole too far, but even with this coffee gate with Starbucks, I'm sure y'all have heard with McDonald's, they actually, and I don't drink, and I call it pop, some people call it soda, whatever you want to call it, Coke, they actually have theirs at a different temperature. They have theirs colder, so therefore it tastes better because back in the day when you could go to Burger King or McDonald's pop always tasted better. And it's something with the ratio. They get the same exact stuff, but it's the way that they actually have the ratio done on the syrup to the soda water, I guess, or soda, whatever that is. And
Carbonation.
how
Yeah.
Seltzer.
carbonation, yes, and it's colder. They keep it colder. That's why.
And it's soda. It's not pop. Let's
It's
not
pop,
get
dude. What?
It's
pop.
pop. I'm from the Midwest. It's
It's
pop.
only soda if you're on the coast, and it's pop everywhere else.
My mom's
Tammy,
from
you
down
know it's
south. She
pop.
says soda. Yeah, my
Let's
mom
It's
says
fucking
total
go.
soda.
soda.
Yeah,
So
my
it's
mom says
starting
soda.
it's
And it tastes
starting to
better.
seem like crypto and coffee is a psyop for Jess to basically get every company's trade secret so that she can open her own like coffee shop competitor to Starbucks and like all these places. That's what I'm
Yeah.
getting at here.
Well, I will say this too, the soda pop debate, I know with my mom being from South Carolina, it's so funny down there because it doesn't matter if you want a Pepsi, it's all Coke. It's all Coke. That's what you're ordering. It's Coke or soda.
No,
It's the
they have Dr.
South.
Pepper in the
Maybe it's South.
South. They have lots
But
of
if you,
Dr. Pepper in the South.
but if you want to
They don't call it
differentiate
that
between
though.
Pepsi and Coke, it's Coke. It's always going to be
Yeah,
Coke.
they don't call it that. I'm from North Carolina and we call it soda. I live here in Oklahoma now and they call everything pop.
Oh
So
my
I don't
God. My girlfriend's from
I don't get
Oklahoma,
it.
so I know exactly what you're talking about. She's a Dr. Pepper queen. She loves her Dr. Pepper. So, like, I get it.
Dr. Pepper is disgusting. It tastes like medicine.
No,
It
it
reminds me of
tastes
like
like
It, no,
Robitussin
chapstick.
when I was a child.
it,
It's like
Ugh.
NyQuil. It's so
but
gross.
it actually is though. The original thing for Dr. Pepper, it really was the flavor of cough syrup. And they thought it tastes so
I knew
well that they
it.
made it
I
into a
knew it.
soda. That's
Holy.
why it's called Dr. Pepper.
All
Let's
right.
not talk about
I'm gonna have
Coca-Cola
to
having
research that
cocaine in
today.
it. Like we could get into all that stuff. Which is, by the way, it's Elon. When Elon tweeted that, I don't know if you guys saw him yesterday. It's his most viewed tweet about him saying that he wants to put cocaine back into Coca-Cola. Anyway, sorry, random topic. DeFi Daniel, and then we'll move on. But great coffee talk. Go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah, I was gonna a while ago in many episodes before, I explained how I picked my coffee beans, right? And Jonathan just mentioned the shine in the beans, and I think that's what I was trying to explain. They have to be shiny because they're oily, right? And in my experience, I got a lot more crema out of my shots if I use a shiny looking bean. And I don't know what that means. Maybe they can explain it better than me.
Who do you want to explain that? I don't know about beans.
I
I
think
love this
Jonathan.
discussion, by the way.
It sounds like it makes sense. Yeah, Jonathan's the expert. Go ahead.
I'll be honest with you, it is totally that. That's why when you go to the store, if you buy pre-ground coffee, which I never buy, all of the oil is literally at the bottom of the bag. So everything on top is pretty dry. The oil just sinks. So you want to buy a whole bean. So then when you temp your grind, the oil will actually sit on top and you can see it in that crema. Like next time y'all make a cup of coffee, and please do not make pot coffee because the only part of the coffee that's real coffee is what comes out at the very fucking bottom at the beginning. Everything after that is pure dirt. But if you look at your coffee afterwards, you can look at the top and you can see oil all on the top of it. That's a good cup of coffee.
That's
You know
what
what I
that
mean? But
is.
yeah, yeah,
I get
yeah.
that. So that I must brew some just kick-ass coffee here.
Yeah. If you got your temp right and you got a good grind and everything, and you actually, I think coffee is supposed to be between like 15 to 20 something seconds is how fast it's supposed to come out. That's how you actually know how you're supposed to get your grind is by the seconds of how it brews out. If it takes too long, that's what makes it burn. It's supposed to be a combination in between sand and rock. That way that the hot water actually flows through the coffee correctly. But all those things come into play. I know I get kind of geeky about it, my bad. But I am a coffee snob, so you know.
I'm so
Well,
happy I
welcome.
got to create this entire tangent on coffee. I apologize, Jess and Tammy, that we went more on the coffee side instead of the crypto side. If you would like, I could do a little bit of macro analysis to bring it back to crypto real quick.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, awesome. So I'm sure a lot of you are super pumped seeing that we have broken the volatility range recently on Bitcoin and thus a whole bunch of other alts. For everyone who's saying that this is a bull trap, I have bad news for you. It looks like this first quarter is going to be extremely bullish from both.
In your opinion.
So, yes, in my opinion, but also I am a trained professional with the Series 65 and Series 3, and I am a hedge fund manager with 15 analysts.
Yes, but nothing said here is financial advice.
Oh no, so saying that a quarter is going to be bullish is not actually financial advice. Telling someone that a specific token is going to go to X price is financial advice, actually. But yes, I appreciate you trying to make sure everything's kosher because that is 100% how I roll as well. But in general, though, all markets are looking quite bullish. There are some people saying March could be a really big issue. We will see. But ultimately, right now, everyone's kind of just chilling with the Fed. Fed most likely is going to continue raising rates at a quarter point, which is, fine. It's not great for the long term, but for the short term, it definitely is going to create bullish momentum, as well as something that I've been thinking about recently. A lot of people are saying, well, couldn't we have a new bottom at the end of this? And we could, but people need to realize that we could have a new bottom in Bitcoin in the future without it actually going below the previous bottom we experienced a couple of months ago. And that's because of inflation. If inflation keeps staying sticky and going up, in theory, we could hit a double bottom and have the same bottom in Bitcoin before, as I think it was like 15.5 or something around those lines. If we touch that in the future, it technically will be lower than the last time it touched that because the value of the dollar will have gone down. And thus, if it's still the same value, it's still worth less in terms of Bitcoin value in Satoshis compared to US dollars, if that makes any sense. So we definitely is looking very bullish this quarter. I don't think we have seen the absolute bottom, though. I think it's more of a mid time frame bearish retest or a macro bearish retest where we go up, touch 30 to 50, and then go down again. I don't think that this is the end of a potential bear market, but I do think it is the potential beginning of a bull market, if that makes any sense. We're kind of in the middle right now.
No, that's a great insight. Anybody want to comment or chime in on that?
Yeah, so in short, Cantor, just to summarize, you're basically saying we could go up or we could go down.
So for macro, yes, but for short term, most likely up.
What impact do you guys think the ETH staking withdrawals will have on the market next month?
I think staking in general is super sticky. Like, I think it's a sticky situation, not in the sense of it's going to be around, but a sticky situation in the sense that the SEC has their targets locked on staking. It's definitely a concern, without question. I think that people that I know who are involved in, those realms, more high end, they don't think that Gary Gensler and the SEC should have as much power, and they're just trying to attempt to do what they can with Ethereum staking, because at the end of the day, most people in the crypto space on the high level see the CFTC as more of the entity for regulation. They don't see a lot of the crypto-centric world being a security. Obviously, staking is one of those no issues, but for the most part, it is considered a commodity because it isn't providing any value. It isn't promising a value of sorts. It's just an asset.
Interesting. I did bring Peter up. Peter, how have you been tracking what's been going on as far as all the regulatory news? It looks like the SEC has gone wild since we last spoke last week. Any comments or thoughts about what's going on?
Sure. I pressed the button as soon as you said staking because that got my hackles up. And Cantor kind of summarized the point with something I agreed with. Staking will be fine in my view as long as it's appreciably decentralized. What they're going to go after is centralized exchanges offering a set APR in an exchange for a lockup. So TLDR, if there's a centralized entity making money off your staking, not so great. If you're staking in a manner that your tokens just increase or your Ethereum increases and no other party is making money off of you, probably okay.
So what's your take on the LSD narrative then? Because there are obviously different models, right? You have Lido that some people would say is more centralized, and then you have Rocket Pool, which is more decentralized. Do you think that could be an issue for Lido?
I'm not totally familiar with Lido's model. All I know is that if any centralized entity is advertising a specific APY, and that centralized entity is also making money from your participation in the staking protocol, that is probably going to be looked with disfavor by United States regulators. Do you know if Lido makes money off of this? My impression was that they don't.
I think they do have they take a commission of your LSD. So basically, like, just to make sure everybody's on the same page, right? So you have the pure staking where you have 32 ETH and you run your own validator, right? And then in comes in like is a cheaper, more accessible solution where you go to a third party, right? It's a protocol, but they also have an interface, a front end, and you deposit, you drop your ETH there, right? It's a smart contract, so there's some decentralization there. But then they take a commission off of the 4.4% that ETH provides to validators. So they do take a commission off of your stake.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add that that's similar to, like, I've run a validator for a proof of stake network, and that's similar to what the exchanges will do. They'll have one big pool. Let's say the return was like 8%. You know, they'll give back 5% and keep the 3% commission from the staking rewards to be able to, I guess, support what running the nodes and so forth. But yeah, I mean, it could be profit. To your point, Peter.
Yeah, one thing that always amazes me is that there aren't more disclosures on staking platforms when it comes to APY. In my view, it's totally fine to advertise like historical data, like, oh, this is what we have seen. But in almost every case, I look at it and it's like they're promising what you're going to get, which to me seems a little irresponsible because we have so little data. You know, this whole industry is what, Bitcoin came out 14 years ago, something like that. So there's not enough information for us to know how much APR anybody can get on any particular activity.
Could I ask a question quickly? Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead, Gray.
Thank you so much. I would like to, and thank you for the space and time to ask this. And I would like to ask this to sort of the esteemed group here. You guys seem to know what you're talking about, guys and gals. I would like to ask. I would like to ask your opinion on Paxos, on what's going on at the moment. The reason I'm asking is I've got a bit in PAXG, Pax Gold, which I think fundamentally is fantastic. I'm a little bit unsettled with the investigation that's going on at the moment, and I just wondered if you could give me your thoughts on that specifically. That would be cool.
I'd love to hear Peter's thought, but I'll give my opinion. I mean, if BUSD is a security, like, we're fucked. Like, everything's a security then. But I'd love to hear Peter's thoughts.
Well, I always lose followers because I sound like I'm sympathetic to the SEC. I'm not, but as long as people can create any particular token or coin and make money off of it, there doesn't have to be an expectation of profit for it to be a security under the laws. Bitcoin doesn't have that problem, right? Like Bitcoin, nobody's making money off of Bitcoin except by holding it. And so, like, I think we should rightly look at centralized entities that stand to make a lot of gain by selling something they created, as opposed to entities that are using their underlying coin to build something of tangible value. So, the other thing, people are so familiar with the Howey test, with the expectation of profit. That's one flavor of security. So under the securities laws, there's a whole other test, which is way more complicated, called the Reeves test. And that's basically the idea that Paxos is starting to look a lot more like a bank. And funnily enough, most of us have come into this space because of our disdain for banks, myself included. So in a way, it's just the SEC is trying to bring Paxos into this ambit of regulation that looks a lot more like money market funds and stuff like that, which is not fatal to the space. There may be some hiccups along the way, but I think, ethical coins that have independent value, and by ethical, I mean, there's no centralized entity trying to get rich off of us. I think that kind of coin, and I think Ethereum is in that category as well, will be just fine.
So what's your opinion of derivatives of Paxos, for instance, like PaxG?
I'm actually not familiar with PaxG.
Okay, so PaxG is a derivative of Paxos, and essentially it is backed by gold in vaults, and the tokens as such they're not just pegged to the price of gold, but they're backed by gold. So whatever the price of gold does, that these do. And what's really cool about PaxG tokens is that in the coding, there is a serial number, so you can take the tokens and actually exchange them for physical gold if you wanted to at certain depots. So that's that was kind of cool, really, when I looked at stable coins, and stable coins were kind of all over the place when I was looking at different things. And you're thinking, what do you stick fiat in? Fiat, obviously it's goodness me, it's a sinking ship. So where do you stick that? And I was looking at stable coins. Stable coins weren't sort of stable as far as I was concerned, and Pax G seemed like a safe bet. However, when I'm seeing the SEC investigate Paxos, I'm kind of getting nervous a little bit. So I'd just be curious to get all of your thoughts. And obviously, you guys are sort of esteemed and knowledgeable in crypto, and
No,
I'd be
no, no,
certainly
no, no,
interested in that.
no.
We're
Do not
randoms on the
say that.
internet.
I'm definitely not extremely knowledgeable. In my personal opinion, again, the SEC, and this is just me ranting, like, I feel like they just want a cut. They want a paycheck.
Yeah, for
Like, they're
sure.
not bringing any regulation. They took 30 million from Crack, and how much are they going to want from Binance?
For sure. Yeah.
They're panhandling the crypto space, and my rant is over.
Okay, so can I cut all the rainbows and unicorns and kumbaya bullshit?
Sure, go ahead.
All right. So, the bottom line is, dude, we have built a parallel economy that is basically circumventing what the government has essentially put in place for over hundreds of years, right? And this belief that they are not going to be hostile towards it at some point is just absolutely asinine. 100% they are going to be hostile towards it, and as this thing continues to get adoption, they're going to get more and more increasingly hostile. So people can cry and complain oh, Gary Gensler's a clown and he's not looking out for investors. And yeah, 100%, dude, the government is not your friend. They're here to keep you enslaved in the fiat system. And if you have found a way of circumventing it, they're going to attack it. That's just it. And when I look at stuff like Paxos, the bottom line is Paxos has a counterparty. So they're going to...
real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to wrap it up. Paxos has a counterparty. Anything that has a counterparty is very likely to be taken down if they ever get increasingly hostile towards it. So at the end of the day, we're just going to figure out what actually can survive a hostile government attack and what can't. And I don't think anything with a centralized counterparty like Paxos will, because if it ever gains real traction, it's just you go to knock on their door and you just say, hey, you're going to prison if you keep doing this. And that's it.
So Paxos bad, Circle is good. I wonder why.
Because Circle's in bed with the Fed.
Exactly, because Circle is backed by BlackRock. Again, me, I became a conspiracy theorist once I joined crypto, but so that's my conspiracy.
Okay, it's not a conspiracy theorist, though. It's the truth, though. Circle is in bed with the Fed. They have an account at the Federal Reserve. They're owned by BlackRock. And I'm sorry to tell you guys, but the government is a cartel. And if you're in with the cartel, they're going to protect you. And Circle is in the cartel, so they're going to protect you.
Okay. So is there room to... Obviously, what we're talking about is sort of US-centric things at the moment. And obviously, there's a big market, big wide world outside of the US. I'm obviously not a US citizen. I don't reside in the US. I never would. I don't have a green card.
Lucky you.
And thanks. I don't pay taxes. And what I would say is, one of the things I feel sorry for you guys is obviously as US citizens, one of the things I know that is if you move overseas, unless you renounce your citizenship, you still got to pay taxes. That's shocking. But however, that's a different subject. But what I would say is that
the cartel, I told you.
There's a big wide world out there, and I just wonder with the SEC's stance on crypto and these other kind of things, whether the US is actually just going to fall behind, and these companies are just going to move overseas and to Asia and all these other places, and the gains that the US would have made, they're going to miss out on. What are your thoughts on that?
Completely agree. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, if I can jump in, I agree to an extent. To the extent that the companies in the US that are going to miss out were kind of looking to join the cartel, as Brain mentioned. Yeah, companies that are looking to make fabulous amounts of profit in the United States might look to make fabulous amounts of profit elsewhere. Paradoxically, in my view, all this regulation in the United States kind of incentivizes US companies to kind of create non-revenue based systems where they have to kind of be ideological about it and really try to make censorship-resistant protocols that are not going to be touched by this regulation. So in a way, there's perverse incentives here that kind of push US companies to kind of become more aligned with this vision of decentralization. So it could go in a very unanticipated direction.
It won't.
Yeah, great. I just encourage you to think like, why is it that all of these neo banks and like scam companies basically want to operate in the United States? Like they've had the ability to go overseas and do all this crap overseas. It's because the US is the most liquid market on planet Earth. Like the money is here. This is where you come to strike gold. So if for whatever reason these companies get banned or whatever in the United States, yeah, sure, they can go and operate like in Nigeria or Africa and China, whatever, but they're going to be missing out on a massive market. Like the US is the richest country on earth.
It has been to this point. However, if the SEC, etc., if we're going to move to a tokenized blockchain economy, and
we're not.
you would think, well,
So listen, I just want to say something.
I
I
would
just want to
argue
say something
otherwise.
quickly. Brian's 100% right. It's definitely the most richest country on earth. Not the most liquid, not the most liquid,
currently,
but definitely the most richest country on earth.
Yeah, currently I would agree. But what if Dubai, for instance, or Hong Kong, or there's other parts of the world? You know, there's a big wide world outside the United States, and I think.
Yeah, we have guns though.
Sorry.
We have guns though. We have men with guns.
You heard about the BRICS, right? Like the world.
Yeah,
that the United States was dominating the rest of the world.
The petrodollar, and honestly, the US dollar is the world's reserve currency, is ending, guys. Honestly, and like that's a.
You want to bet?
No. Behave yourself. Behave yourself. It's not ending. It's gonna take. It's gonna take at least 20 to 50 years before it ends. Behave yourself.
Wait,
do you think?
Dude, you have great. You have better chances of betting of like all these other fiat currencies in the world going to zero than the US dollar. If fiat currencies go to zero, which I think they are going to, the US is going to be the last one. The dollar will be the last one.
So what are you going to do? Stop it with an AK-47?
There's 5 people talking, and I don't hear anybody. Let's let Dow go, who's been trying to chime in. Dow, you can mute them. Go ahead, and then everybody else.
Yeah, I don't want to use the extra power, but I appreciate that. What I wanted to jump in is that what Brian's saying is true today, but obviously the world is changing. You have the BRICS, for example. Egypt just joined the BRICS, and they're looking to actually formalize the process through which countries like Nigeria, Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, and many more want to join the BRICS, and they're looking for an alternative system outside of the SWIFT system.
And every single one of those countries that you just mentioned, especially mine, every single African country runs on 2 currencies. There are 2 currencies in Africa. The first currency is the US.
You made me do it, man. Don't make me do it again. I barely started talking, man. Like, wait for your turn, goddammit.
Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead, buddy.
So, Zombia, real quick, man. Like, all I was saying is that the BRICS is an alternative, and it's showing that they want to bypass the dollar as, you know, the SWIFT system and all the connection around it. They actually have what they call a new development bank, which is a partnership between all those different central banks to facilitate exchange between themselves. And most of those countries are actually producing nations. So when you get your gas, your oil, your other commodities, it comes from those type of countries. So it's not the end of the U.S. hegemony, but it is a challenge. And so it does make sense for the United States to keep an eye to what is happening and not just think that just because you're the richest country is going to stay that way forever.
But I just want you to understand one thing, all right? You have to understand something, especially when it comes to Africa. I don't know if you're from there. I'm from there. Born and raised, everything. You have to understand 2 things. The American dollar comes 80% in Africa. And maybe 20% you get the franc. And the franc is now changed to kind of the euro, whatever it is. But there's still a backdrop in regards to the francs when it comes to Africa, because they still weirdly trade in francs in certain parts of Africa. But like, dude, you have to understand something. Everything backs the US dollar. The US dollar comes last. If any fucking currency in this whole economy has to drop, yeah, USD will be the last.
Oh, you're having a laugh, mate. You're having a laugh. Jesus
I'm having
Christ.
a laugh on you.
All right.
Yeah, I'm sure, mate. I'm sure. Honestly, you've got no idea about fractional reserve banking.
I know what fractional reserve.
Guys. Oh my God. All right, we're getting close to the end. We're gonna go to death, and then we got to keep it rolling, guys. We got to keep it rolling. I can't let you guys just sit here and argue to each other. Death, go ahead. All right, Cantor, go ahead.
So, Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things being said, and it seems that this is not enough time for us to discuss it all. But one thing I will say is when taking into consideration the US dollar in Africa, I would like people to look up really the cbdctracker.org. Great website. It has every single CBDC being developed in the world, what progress it's having, etc. And if you look at Nigeria right now, there are some riots happening because they're being limited to how much money they can take out of the ATMs.
Yes.
That is, in fact, one of the points that I was going to say that the Gray is on point with, is that if a global CBDC is to be deployed, that would be the only thing against the US dollar. And the only reason the US would allow such a thing would be to add liquidity to the existing United States hegemony. While I see, Brain Bitcoin is putting their thumbs down, I completely understand. This is not an absolutely immediate thing right now. I do think the US dollar, in not financial advice, is relatively safe for now. However, I do think most people should read the book by Ray Dalio, New World Order. It will definitely help them get an idea of where things are going by the end of the
Yeah,
decade.
but all Africans
Yeah, but
literally.
Dalio has also been wrong about a lot of stuff, though.
Yeah, exactly. But all
Yeah, that's
Africans,
fine, but
dude, all
as much as I respect
Africans
him,
rely in the USD, even in those French countries. That's something that you need to understand. I'm from the southern part of Africa, and you have to understand something. The US dollar is literally what we rely on. If our own
I
currency
understand, and
fucks
there's a
up,
Mate,
chance
do you
that
want
it's
a
mine?
always
bunch
going to
of
be the
Do you
US
people
want
in
my
dollar.
US
Africa
dollars?
may
I'll
not
send
make
them to
it
you.
because of that.
Do you want my US dollars, mate? Do you want my US dollars? I'll send them to South Africa. Take them.
I'm
Honestly,
not
they're
from South
bullshit.
Africa,
There's
but
nothing.
whatever. If you want to
you can
send
send
them,
them to
Wherever
send
you're
them to
me.
me.
from, I'll send them. I'll take them. I'll
I'd
send them
rather
to
I'd
you.
rather
Honestly,
Bitcoin.
Send them to
I
me.
don't
I'd
Send them
mind.
to
rather
me.
Bitcoin, but if you want to send them to me, I'll just change them to Bitcoin.
Honestly, this fiat currency is nonsense.
Yeah,
Honestly,
you
All
say
Send them to
that
absolute
from
me.
wherever
nonsense.
you're from, but you don't know what my people go through. So
Okay, so what CBDC is South Africa bringing
there
in?
is no CBDC. They're actually they're
Oh,
fully
really?
they're fully
Okay,
Bitcoin.
okay,
And I'll tell you why.
There's one in
I'll tell you why.
Nigeria.
I'll tell
okay,
you why.
okay.
You'll see one of the biggest supermarkets in South Africa. Literally one of the biggest supermarkets, not South Africa alone, Southern Africa. It's called Pick and Pay. They supply Zimbabwe. They supply countries like Zambia. They supply countries like South Africa itself. And there's quite a lot of people, quite a lot of supermarkets. They actually interact in Bitcoin. Did you know that? Probably not.
Oh wow. Okay, so if I tell you what,
Amazing. Okay, so can we move on from this retardation and actually talk about the fact that Japan is developing a CBDC and going to be launching one in April? Like they literally said that yesterday.
Guys, oh my God. Since when is this the CBDC show? This is crypto and coffee. Come on, guys.
CBDCs are crypto.
CBDC is kind of crypto.
No, I
Evil
know.
crypto.
I know, but we're not going to go off in a tangent. We've been going since 10 a.m. We're going to let Death go, and then we're going to start wrapping it up because I got to eat.
Does anybody want my US dollars?
Yes.
I do.
I'll take them. I'll take them. I'll
Yes.
take all of them. I'll take all of them.
take
I'll take
it.
all of them. I'll even give you my own
in
currency for them.
Please.
You want my own currency? Come, I'll take them.
Send me Bitcoin. Send me
Fuck
Bitcoin.
off. Never.
No.
Why do you want Bitcoin? I thought it was worthless.
You guys are wild. Go ahead, Death. I think you're back.
I'll send you BSB.
And I don't want to get too into it because I hear the emotional ties on both ends. But I would just say this: I do think the petrodollar is dead. However, before the U.S. dollar loses its reserve status and power of money markets as far as financial markets go in the world, expect World War III before that would occur, in my opinion.
You'll be amazed at the reason why your statement is quite interesting. But then again, I don't think the dollar will ever lose its reserve currency. You have to understand something. It's been around for so long.
You're deluded.
It's been around for so long that I would think that maybe 40 to 50 years, maybe. But then again, you got to think of it this way. Like, you guys might live in America, and the USD is only in America. It's not only in America. It's all over the world, guys.
You don't understand fractional
Hey,
reserve banking. You don't understand fractional reserve banking.
I understand
Just study it.
fractional reserve banking, but what I'm trying to explain to you is what the reserve currency means to
You guys
us.
are saying the same thing over and over
What I'm trying to explain to you is
again.
you got to bring it back to Africa.
Jesus.
You guys hear
Can you both shut
All right, that's it.
Later.
I think I'm gonna wrap it up because they're kind of exhausting me at this point. But yeah, it's guys. We could go on for this for hours. So I don't want to make this a debate. Make your point, and let's let Death make his point. Death, did you make your point, or did they talk over you?
Pretty much. I would have a question for the Gray. Do you think that fractional reserve banking will go away in the future?
Never.
Yes, I do. I think that yeah. If I can just respond, yes. Like I've studied this for hundreds of hours, and I'm not a fool here. I promise you. But when it comes to fractional reserve banking, it's been around for since the 70s when they detached from the gold standard. It's monopoly money since then. It's built on quantitative easing and inflation. And if you understand how fractional reserve banking works, you understand the current system is doomed to fail. It can't survive, honestly, unless you're going to live with hyperinflation and you're going to be fucking wheeling wheelbarrows full of money down the road. It's just not going to survive. That's just how it's designed.
That's the
So
reason
when we
why
move to this
when you go to
blockchain tokenized
Nigeria,
system,
you can buy Bitcoin on a different
Zambia, can you
value
stop
points.
interrupting?
Damien, shut the
Fuck
fuck
you,
up.
Brian.
Zambia,
I'm trying to make a point.
all right, Zambia, seriously, like you gotta stop interrupting. You can make some great point, but you also have to respect others. He wasn't done making his point. So whoever was saying something, the great, I think that was you. Continue.
Thank you. So I was just talking about fractional reserve banking. I was almost finished. And by the way, you know, it's everybody's got a valid point here. And so it's not a case of shouting people down or whatever. We've all got a valid point of view. But, you know, our perception is our perception. And, you know, we only know what we know. However, I've studied fractional reserve banking for hundreds of hours. In the 1970s, all modern currencies detached from gold standards around the world. And it wasn't at the same time. So I think it was the US that started, but all other countries followed suit. And as such, what used to happen is all of our currencies, paper and all the rest of it, was backed by gold. So you could take those promissory notes into the bank and exchange them for gold. That's just basically how it started. Because ultimately, gold was heavy to carry around. So what used to happen is people used to fucking deposit their gold into the bank and get receipts from the bank in promissory notes because it was lighter to carry paper. And eventually people started trading the paper, and that they were promissory notes, and that's just basically became fiat currency. And so that's been the case for a while. And so what's happened is that central banks adopted what was called the fractional reserve banking system. And what if you didn't know what that is, the fractional reserve banking system is where banks can basically take deposits and then lend out at a ratio of 9-1. So let's say, for instance, some of you put in $100. Okay, they would take your $100 and then they would lend out $1,000 of invented fucking currency from thin air. They would create it from nothing. It's monopoly money. It's created from nothing. And the $100 you put in, they would take out of your account and stick up to their investment arm. In the middle of the pandemic, the Federal Reserve in the US, and you can go and check on their website, this is fucking fact, in March of 2020, there was legislation quietly fucking passed by whoever was in government at the time. I don't give a shit about politics, but whoever was in government at the time passed legislation reducing the fractional reserve rate in the United States to 0%, meaning that every single fucking dollar that went into people's accounts, the banks could rinse, funnel up to their fucking investment arms, and sort of amortize by 9 times. So that hasn't changed. So if you think the banks have any of your money, when you look at your sort of balance on your internet banking, or you went to the ATM and you flashed your account up on the screen, you think you've got money in your account. All you've got is a receipt or a ledger of what the bank owes you. And what happens is when you action something on your online banking, or you withdraw money from the ATM, for instance, you issue a request to the bank to give you some money. whilst your money technically is on their balance, it is their property. They can do what the fuck they want with it. And so you think you're safe with money on account in the banks. You're not. And I would just urge each and every single one of you to study this shit, because the fractional reserve banking system is the biggest fraud on humanity that has ever happened. These
Great. You got to
crooks.
wrap it up. You got to wrap it up.
Okay. So
Land the
I
plane.
would. Okay, I'll wrap it up. Okay. So what I would say to the guy, I'm not sure of your name. I'm so sorry. You defended the US dollar in South Africa. And I don't know your name, and I totally respect where you're coming from, because that's your perception. But what I would say is that anybody who has confidence in the US dollar or confidence in bank deposits, please consider your position. And within the next sort of, 3 to 4 months, we could be facing a crisis. The stock market's going to fucking plummet, and then we're going to have a problem with the banks.
In your opinion.
Okay, in my opinion.
Greg, can I ask you a question?
This is recorded, right? So this, I swear to God, record my words and mark my words, and let's have a conversation again in 2 to 3, maybe 4 months.
Okay,
and
fine. Tell me the lottery numbers for this weekend then. If you're so
4 months,
I'm
yeah,
actually,
4 months,
I'm
right?
actually,
4 months.
Okay, great. Can you wrap it up, man? Let me ask you a question. So, why do you think that you have like some magic revelation? You're coming into a room that's talking. People are talking about like magic internet coins that we're all investing in because we know this already. You're literally preaching to the choir, my dude. Like, we know this.
Okay, so
Thank you, Brian. Brian has literally just said
your question? I'm
everything
sorry.
that everyone needs to hear.
My question is, like, you're preaching to the choir. Why do you feel the need to preach to the choir?
Well, he's just sharing his point, but I agree, Brian. I think we
I'm
can
not-
all.
I'm not-
But his point is so like fucking
all right,
simple. Everyone knows that.
All right. We're gonna. I'm exhausted. We're gonna wrap this up. We've been going since 10 in the morning. I do want to give really quick. I did have a couple of things. Yeah, Dal, Tammy, what a show. A wild bunch, but you guys can definitely keep it going. I do have to go though. But Dal, anything you got coming up this week? I do want to give you a chance to chime in.
Yeah, great space. I mean, it gets spicy, but some interesting topics. Definitely was fun to have Swivel on the show earlier. For those who didn't pay attention to that, that was probably like really, really cool, innovative financial primitive that few of us understand, but it's going to be adopted, right? Interest rate swaps are massive in traditional finance, so it's great to have them. I'm definitely going to have a space next Wednesday, and I'm thinking it's going to be on lending and money markets. I have a couple of protocols that accepted my invitation, so look forward to it. It's going to be on Wednesday, 6 p.m. Central European time at Farmers Market. And yeah, enjoy your weekend. Talk to you guys later.
Thanks, Dal. Yeah, definitely appreciate your input on the space this morning. Tammy, what about you? What you got going on this week?
I don't have a whole lot going on, actually. Things are kind of quiet right now, but I really enjoyed the space. Like Dow said, it was a great space per the usual. You've been getting great guests on here. For anybody that didn't get to hear Swivel, please go back and listen to the recorded space. It did get a little spicy, but I want to say thank you to Cantor as well. And Jonathan, I think he left for the coffee tips. So that was a nice little intermission to the spiciness, and then everybody went back at it.
I'm sorry. I have short fuses this morning. I had some issues this morning. I spilled my coffee. We're on almost 3 hours. So it's definitely getting to the point, like, I don't know if I can handle this anymore. But really quick, I do have a space on Monday with with the Web3 girls. Who's doing that? Oh God. If you want to check that out, the space is pinned up to the top. That should be interesting. And then, yeah, quick shout out to my partners at Binance US. I know there's some FUD going on about Binance US. Make sure to check out my feed if you want to learn more about some things that they clarified. And yeah, I'll be back Monday at 8 a.m. for my next space, which will be really weird. I'm going to have to wake up early and have a bunch of coffee. Actually, no, it's not Monday. It's next Thursday. I don't know. But yeah, I appreciate everybody coming. If you guys want to keep it going, I'll definitely join a space. Just tag me on it. Just got to walk my dogs and do some stuff. But yeah, I hope everybody has a great weekend. Thank you to my host and co-host, and thank you to all the speakers and listeners, and have a great weekend.
Have a
Thanks,
great
Jess.
weekend.
All right, Jess,
Thanks,
before you close
everybody.
the space, can I just say something, or are you closing it?
As long as it's appropriate.
All right, guys. Nice way to say
Glad
that.
I
But
said
like,
that.
thank you, Jess, for holding the space. I know that you're in a few spaces for Brian and a few other spaces. Look, I'm more of a Bitcoin maxi kind of guy. I have a lot of respect for Brian. I have a lot of respect for DeFi Dan. He's in here too, and also Jess herself. And I just want you guys to open up your minds. I come from a different perspective of you guys. So a lot of you are from the USA, but we come from Africa. And our perspective is a lot different from you guys. The US dollar means a little bit different of a measure
I
of
come from Africa
account.
too, fool. You don't speak for Africa, man. You have your own perspective.
Okay, calm
Hey,
down,
That's it.
really,
calm down.
really quick,
But what
Zambia.
I'm
I
just
have
trying
a
to say is
question
just
for
like, yo,
you.
thank you
I
for the
have a question
space,
for
and I
Zambia.
don't want.
How do you feel about Brian being an NFT influencer now?
He isn't.
Shots fired.
Just kidding. With that, we gotta go.